Pack it up, pack it in. Let us begin. Coming to you live tonight from the beautiful Bill Austin Radio Studios here in downtown Phoenix, Arizona. It's time for another edition of 3460. I'm AJ Gonzalez, joined by Trevor Cox and Sebastian Fryer, as always. Gentlemen, how are we doing on this majestic Monday?
Having a good Monday. Can't really complain. 2 more days until Boss Basketball game day. I'm counting down.
It's prime time here for the 3460 crew right here, 9 p.m. local time in Arizona. It's a little late night recording session, so I think our takes are going to be more on point, or you never know how they might get later on, but we'll see. Let's do it.
Past my bedtime, so let's see how good I am tonight. Show rundown today. Masters reaction. Rory McIlroy pulls through. We'll get to that. We'll do our Washington Commanders rebuild. UFC 314. I have reaction to that. What else am I going to get to tonight? We're going to do NBA playoff preview. That's coming up tonight. I think that's about it. Maybe I'll squeeze in an MLB thought or two. We'll save the NHL playoffs for Friday. Things technically aren't finalized yet, so we'll just wait on that. So with that being said, Rory McIlroy wins the Masters, just barely hangs on. Trevor, you got thoughts, man?
I mean, like Jim Nance said on the call, it's his masterpiece. This guy's been chasing this ever since 2011 when he blew that lead to that guy. I even saw like a note from him, I believe in an interview. He said the guy that he played with on the final day of 2011 put a note in his locker before the final round and was like, "You good luck, you got this." I think it's just like absolutely cinematic almost. It feels scripted, like it's so cinematic. This guy's been chasing the Masters for years, finally gets a career grand slam, kind of like immortalizes him in golf history. So, I mean, it's good to see. He's a good guy. I'm happy for Rory for sure.
I'm happy for Rory, but at the same time, a lot of people who don't watch golf were just climbing on Rory's you-know-what and riding him all the way to that win. Even though he tried to choke like 3 times, like differently.
That double bogey on hole 13 was brutal.
And he's lucky Bryson DeChambeau did not get hot in the Masters like I thought he would. And on the last day, he completely collapsed. And really, McIlroy should have as well. Props to Justin Rose as well. I mean, he definitely deserved to win the Masters. He was absolutely terrific. But, yeah, Rory cements himself as an all-time golfer. I mean, he's not the greatest, but he cements himself as an all-time golfer. Grand Slam, it's tough to do. I mean, guys like Phil Mickelson never did it.
Jordan Spieth.
That's what I mean. You're in rarefied air if you get a Grand Slam in golf. So I would give Rory McIlroy props, but I would just tone it down a bit. He almost choked 3 times. He had to take it to essentially an overtime to win the Masters. Please, and that was just unbelievable. It felt scripted. Honestly,
it did. It literally did.
Like that was a perfect ending. I thought this was one of the best Masters in years in terms of ending.
For sure.
And I'm proud for Rory. He deserved it. And I mean, it's been choke after choke after choke with him, and finally he gets the demons, gets the monkey off his back. And wins the Masters and gets the Grand Slam. So I'm happy for him. Seb, you got any thoughts?
I mean, winning every single major tournament all of golf. I mean, that's incredible. So that's absolutely incredible for Rory McIlroy. It's awesome seeing that moment where he picked up his daughter, hugged and kissed his wife. So, seeing a guy that kind of suffered through a lot of choke jobs in the past, apparently, that's what I've heard from, all the golf experts around Gordon Commons, which, everybody thinks they're a golf expert around Gordon Commons now,
everybody.
when the Masters are around. But, yeah, it's awesome for Rory McIlroy. Honestly, just winning every major title as a golfer kind of cements yourself automatically into the Golf Hall of Fame. So just seeing a guy that's truly been through so much adversity in terms of trying to, make that major stride and win that major tournament, it's really awesome just to see him get it done because it's just such a glorious moment. And there's so many athletes you can think of throughout all of sports, specifically in the NFL with Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, guys that just fall short every single time. Yeah. You just think about when they can potentially get that moment of glory. It's just going to be awesome for that fan base and, specifically for those players who truly deserve it.
Yeah.
All right, so Rory McIlroy wins the Masters, best golfing event of the year for sure. So easily. I really enjoyed it, even though people tried to really dampen the mood for me. So,
a lot of people.
Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. UFC 314, Trevor. That was just fantastic. That was cinema. That last fight, Volkanovski-Torres, that's the fight of the year, in my opinion.
100%. That was an absolutely awesome fight. It looks like Lopez maybe had him on the ropes when he cut him under the eye. Couldn't really see like that whole, I believe it was second round. Just couldn't really see until, he got Vaseline in the cut. The bleeding stopped. And he just went back, and he was looking like vintage Volkanovski, man. He just had him on the ropes. It didn't matter that Lopez had more reach or that he was taller. He was just a better fighter technically, and I feel like that's how he always wins. Like, not that I know a ton about it, but, Man, he just looks so technically sound. The jabs just kept wearing Lopez down, and when you look at the stats, he had so many more significant strikes. So obviously, he deserved it. Gets his belt back, I think.
Yeah, I wanted to say this too. I think Alexander Volkanovski, arguably now, is one of the best to ever do it in his weight class. I think he is just that good. That was an incredible fight, going 5 rounds, going the distance with Torres. Torres is a young stud. Or excuse me, did I say Torres? Lopez. I'm sorry, that's my fault. I'm again past my bedtime. Lopez had a great fight. Overall, I thought that was the match of the fight of the year. Excuse me. I thought Volkanovski did everything he had to do to win that fight, and that was something to watch for sure. So I enjoyed that. What I didn't enjoy was Michael Chandler. I've had it with Michael Chandler. I don't need to see him fight anymore. He's in great shape. Don't get me wrong, and I would love to be in that shape, but he has been chasing down Conor McGregor for years now. McGregor's obviously done. He'll never fight in the UFC again. Mike, I don't need to see any more Michael Chandler. I don't need to see him fighting Paddy Pimblett. What I'm curious to see is who's Paddy Pimblett going to fight now. I think that's the big question for me. I would love to see him against the Diamond. I think that would be a great fight. There's a lot of options that Dana White can go through. I mean, he listed like at least 5 guys, and
I think you've listed like the top 5 contenders.
Yeah,
literally.
except the champ. I don't think you want to fight the champ until the end. Yeah, so we'll see. I think that's going to be a great fight, though, whoever he gets. That I will actually tune in for and watch. I mean, I watched the whole thing with Chandler. I don't need to see any more Michael Chandler. Nice guy. I wish him nothing but the best, but enough. Enough with Michael Chandler as this primetime contender, main card guy. I mean, he's a main carder still, don't get me wrong, but as this, like, top of the main card? No, not anymore.
He cannot be co-main event.
Done. That was the last time.
Washed.
That has to be the last time. I don't need to see Michael Chandler anymore.
I don't need to see him in a 5-round fight again, ever again.
Yeah, you figured he'd have extra motivation too, given who was sitting at octagon side, but nonetheless, Michael Chandler gets absolutely demolished by Paddy Pimblett, one of the most exciting young fighters on the circuit with the UFC. So
man, Paddy the Baddy gets it done. That guy's electric, I gotta say.
Absolute unit of a UFC fighter. He's going to be fun to watch.
He already is, man.
Not Conor McGregor, like a lot of people want to just say he already is.
Because he's a white guy that's cocky.
Because he's cocky, doesn't make him Conor McGregor. But I'm a fan. Seb, you got any thoughts on the UFC, man?
Well, all the guys you guys are mentioning really here, it's all blabberish to me, right? I don't know who any of these guys are.
You remember the knockout from the blonde guy.
I know Conor McGregor from the one fight he broke his leg when he tried to do a leg kick. That's about all I can remember. But, sounds like it was an awesome fight night. I got back to Gordon Commons, the famous place we live at. And, Trevor, you and everybody else was super excited watching all those fights. So whatever you guys were talking about right here seemed like it was pretty epic.
It was.
It was a good card. It was solid. Yeah. I mean, I love the ending saved that card, but yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Unfortunately, they're hosting the RNC at UFC. Yeah, it happened.
Yeah, I'll leave politics out, but I thought it was funny. I thought they were going to do a press conference at the end,
Right.
So we'll bring out a big podium in the middle of the octagon and do a little election speech. So we'll see. All right. That's the UFC 314 breakdown. Next order of business, Tennessee quarterback Nico. I'm not going to try the last name. Amalava. I did try the last name. Apparently leaving Tennessee. He's done at Tennessee, according to head coach Josh Heupel. He apparently is exploring his options. He wants more money, and he's exploring options around college football. I was hearing stuff about UNC. I don't think that's going to happen. We'll see what happens with this guy. I think there's some clear landing spots where I think he should go. Again, I think this is a mistake on his part. I would have just stayed at Tennessee. You're playing in the SEC. I just think it's really risky now what you're dealing with here. It's uncharted territory. So we'll see what happens. I think the obvious landing spot for him, we were mentioning it when we got in here, was USC. You go play with Lincoln Riley. He's like the QB whisperer. He can, do good stuff for you, getting you some pro looks. I mean, this guy's a star, I think, from what I've seen on tape. So if he all goes well and he were to say go to USC with a guy like Lincoln Riley, he should be a first-round pick in next year's draft and should go very high. So we'll see.
I mean, this guy has all the tools, but, I mean, if the locker room drama is going to continue to be a constant, I don't know if teams are going to want to take a shot on him. I mean, we already saw UNC go out on him today. Who even knows if UNC or USC wants him at this point, to be honest. I mean, trying to get how much was he getting paid last year? 2.5, 3 million, something like that, and that's not enough. Like, man, you were a freshman. Like, you're probably, like, the 7th or 8th best quarterback in the SEC. Like, demanding more than that and holding out before the playoff game. Like, listen, I understand players need to get paid, but there needs to be some type of restriction. There needs to be a negotiation period between the schools that is designated. The NCAA has no regulations on NIL, and you can tell because the NIL transfer portal is just an absolute mess right now. Obviously, you can't regulate it like you used to with when the guys just sit out a year, but I think there's regulations that you can put on it so that it's more fair for smaller schools, for bigger schools, for everybody.
Well, Nico Lamaleava, fingers crossed. I
Okay.
said that right. If every single letter is mentioned.
Yeah, I'm not.
But in terms of Nico overall, I think he wins the Clown of the Week in all of collegiate sports. I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous. This guy has not proven a single thing to me at Tennessee. Every time I tune into a Tennessee game, there's just really very few things that stood out to me from this guy, especially playing with that big roster. He goes on the big stage, college football playoffs. Apparently, a new report came out that said that multiple players, including him, were threatening to sit out of the college football playoff if they didn't get paid more money.
James Spears.
But I don't know if that report is correct. But, regardless if it's correct or not, it's just ridiculous. It's just an absolute joke. This guy went on the national stage, pissed down his legs, and then got smoked by Ohio State in front of all of us.
Embarrassed.
It's going to be real. Tennessee did not come to play that game. This guy, instead of owning up to it and trying to work hard towards it, this guy has potential to be a high first-round pick. I mean, he's got all the tools. I mean, literally, he's got all the tools possible. Instead of just working his butt off and trying to get Tennessee back to that point and potentially SEC contenders, because Tennessee as a program, let's be real, they're second fiddle to Georgia, Alabama, now Texas over there in the SEC. LSU, not so much with Brian Kelly right now, but in previously, yeah. But Tennessee's always second fiddle to those big-time SEC programs. Nico should be working towards getting Tennessee up there. Try to go compete for the SEC. You're still there. You get another year, get back to the playoff, have a better showing. But instead, this guy sits out because he wants more money. Do you know how much money he could get in the NFL as a quarterback if he just works his butt off, has a great year, gets drafted super high? We're talking about just generational wealth. Even generational wealth, what he was getting before in college, getting paid $2.5 million a year, like AJ mentioned. So it's just ridiculous. There's just not going to be a better situation. I think he can maybe gain more experience and be more NFL ready going with Lincoln Riley, but this doesn't seem like it was an issue with him about his development, and he was concerned about that. It was more so about the money and the economics. So if he wants to transfer because he doesn't believe that the development at Tennessee is good enough for him, fine. I'm full board for that. If you want to go with Lincoln Riley, quarterback whisperer, he works with Caleb Williams, he works with Baker Mayfield, guys who are pretty successful now, then get drafted first overall. Sure, if you want to do that, okay. But if you want to do that because of the money, it's just ridiculous because you're a collegiate athlete. You should be focused on your own development, making yourself the best player possible you could be for your team and for your coaches. It's just super disappointing. I think he let the whole state of Tennessee down. He's probably not allowed to be back in that state of Tennessee. He's probably one of the most hated men on campus right now. It's just ridiculous. It's an absolute mess. And this guy has definitely had a lot of negative headlines towards him. And it's going to be tough to recover from this.
I definitely want to say whoever his agents are, you got to think, this guy's 19. He's younger than some of the people in this room. But, this guy's 19. He's probably easily influenced by his agents to do these things. He realizes that he is a special talent. Maybe he's going too far with it, but I still do believe in him overall. He has all the traits, all the tools. He just has to go to the right school. If he goes group of 5, Tulane, fine. He's dead. I don't think he's getting drafted first round. But, like AJ said, if he goes to USC, I think he could have a great future.
Look, and I always understand holding out for money. I actually do understand that from the player's perspective. You could blow your ACL tomorrow and your career could be over. But I just think the money's not, generationally enough to sit out. It's $1.5 million. It's not going to make or break your NFL future. You already have enough. For $1.5 million, where you're going to risk your future at Tennessee and risk going to Tulane. That doesn't make sense. Whoever his agent is should be ashamed.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't know who it is. Sure. I don't know who it is. If this is a pro agent, I don't get this logic at all. They better have. If you're going to do this, you better have someone that's ready to go. And it sounds like they didn't have anyone that's ready to go and get interested in this kid.
100%.
Look, to me, this sounds a little bit of insecurity towards the Nico side of it, because if you don't believe in yourself to have a big year in Tennessee and get drafted high in the first round, he's demanding every single penny out there, it seems, at Tennessee. So why don't you just bet on yourself, play on this current contract, which you're getting paid plenty of money, by the way, for being 19 years old, like you just mentioned, Trevor. Get drafted in the first round, and boom, you got all the money you want. Get your second contract in the NFL, and you're getting paid $60 million a year like Dak Prescott is. So, this guy really is serious about his future as a player. He should have 100% played at Tennessee. He should be in training camp right now. He should be playing with his teammates.
He should have played in the spring game.
100%. And now you go to a new program, in the spring, and you all of a sudden have to get adjusted to a whole new playbook. Yes, there's time, but he could have been doing this back in the winter. It's just, to me, it just doesn't make sense. Maybe Lincoln Riley could absolutely work with him. I think this could definitely work out. I'm not going to say his career is completely over and it's dead, because if you work with Lincoln Riley as a quarterback, you definitely have a chance always. But it's just going to be a long road back, in my opinion, from this.
I mean, I think it honestly could be a good move for him. Tennessee is a very college-style offense, not a lot of hard throws or hard reads. Maybe he goes somewhere where he can actually develop field vision. I think that could be good for him, good for his NFL stock as well. So, I mean, we'll see where he ends up going. I think a lot of it is dependent on where he ends up going.
Yeah, my problem with that is that he didn't transfer because of that, like you just mentioned. He transferred because of the money. If he did it for, the playing style and wanted to get more pro experience, 100%, that's what I'm saying. It can definitely work out for Nico, and this could all, just be blown dead and, old news, right? But that's my problem with it. He transferred because of the money, not because of the playing style. It can definitely work out, but I just think it's really makes you look bad in terms of character for Nico.
I agree, yeah.
All right, that's the latest there on the former Tennessee Volunteers quarterback, Nico. I'm going to try it. I'm lava. That's my best shot at it. So
I'm a lava.
I'm a whatever.
See.
So that's the best we got.
I'm a layava.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to trust it.
I'm a layava.
All right, that's the best we got on Nico. Anything else I'm missing that really happened, like any other sport, big storyline, big flashy news? Anything else? Oh, Kyron Lacey.
It's a controversial topic, obviously, to dig into, but all I'm going to say is phenomenal player he was on the field. Rest in peace. Prayers out to him and his family and all the victims ever involved, in this whole situation. Despite of whatever he did, it's always sad to see someone pass away, especially, in terms of suicide. Whoever has any suicidal thoughts should definitely seek out help. 100%. Because there's so many people always that love you, so that's a big message from 3 for 60 here. But yeah, prayers up to Kyron Lacey. He was going to be a phenomenal football player at the next level. But, based on what I've heard also with the people close to him, he was also a really good person to some of those people. So he definitely hurt a lot of people by doing that. But definitely just prayers to Kyron Lacey.
Yeah, it's 100%. I mean, prayers up to this kid's family. And obviously he was involved in an accident. Prayers up to that person's whole family as well. I mean, obviously you never want to see an incident like that happen. And I mean, if he thought that was his only way out, and it never really is. It never is. And it is sad because he had a future in the NFL. It's always hard talking about these topics. It's kind of heavy. But this was a guy that I really like because LSU just produces wide receivers, man. I think he had a bright future before the incident happened. So it's really sad to see for sure.
I remember watching the game against USC. It was LSU-USC to start the year, and I thought he was going to be absolutely spectacular, and I thought he was going to be the next, great LSU wide receiver. There was obviously some off-field issues there. I don't really want to get into them, but I know what it's like when someone, like you love, does something like this. It's a horrible kind of pain. So I'll leave it at that. Anything else that is on your mind?
I mean, we could do
Commanders rebuild.
Yeah, you know what's on my mind? The Commanders rebuild, man.
And the Commanders.
All right, let's get right into it. I'm not even going to do the prelude. Jaden Daniels, superstar rookie season. I'll leave it up to the experts. Let's rebuild the Washington Commanders. Runners up in the NFC.
Yeah, runners up in the NFC, but when you look at this roster, it doesn't necessarily feel like that. They definitely still have a good amount of holes. I like what they're building, but I still feel like they really need a right tackle. I don't trust Andrew Wiley long-term, really. They definitely need a running back. I'd like that for them to pick one at 29, maybe try to go out there, get a guy in round 2 or 3, can develop a tackle, something like that. I also think that they need to address some I would say they need to address the secondary the most on defense. It's pretty rough outside of, Mike Saren still, who was a nice little piece for them, who was a 2nd or 3rd round pick last year, I believe. Other than that, it's pretty brutal. Marshawn Lattimore is just not the same player he used to be. Noah out of Ohio State has just never lived up to the player he was supposed to be. I think overall there's a lot of holes on this team for just being fresh off a champion or NFC championship appearance. But I think all they have to do really at this point is just draft well. And that's the only route they can really take at this point.
I really like the Laramie Tunsil edition. I think, obviously, penalties have become an issue for Tunsil. So if he can crack down on that, I think he's one of the best tackles still in the game. The Debo Samuel edition, is Debo going to be the prime 49ers version of himself? No, but he's definitely an improvement over guys like De'Ami Brown. They need to address the running back position because I am not rolling with Austin Eckler and Brian Robinson Jr. once again another season. What I will say about the Commanders is they are a top contender of teams to disappoint next season because, yes, they made it far, but also the path they took to get there, it's questionable because the Lions, we saw that
And
defense. Unlikely as well. That defense was just so banged up, and the Commanders are just a team that, towards the end of the regular season, they were showing a lot of weakness at times. It was even a question, where they just get smoked in the playoffs. That was a gutsy win. Obviously, Jaden Daniels is the reason why they were in the NFC title game, but they really got to patch up this team because everybody in the NFC is getting so much better. The Lions are going to get healthy. The Eagles will still be there. The whole NFC North seems like it's going to be up in contention. The Buccaneers will be back. Even the Rams have gotten a lot better, in my opinion, this offseason so far. So they got to be prepared. There's going to be teams coming after them, especially when you have a target on your back. The Commanders now do. They're not going to sneak up on everybody. Everybody knows how good Jaden Daniels is. Everybody knows, Dan Quinn and his style of football. We saw kind of Dan Quinn, out there with the Falcons. Things can fall apart really quickly for him. So that defense, in my opinion, is also going to be a big emphasis. You give up 55 points in the NFC title game. That's exactly where you got to throw your dart. You got to fix that defense up. Your take on the secondary, I agree with it. Marshawn Lattimore, so far, that trade is not looking very good. They gave up a pretty decent amount of picks for a guy that's also going a little bit downhill. Can he get healthy? He was also banged up last year. So maybe if he gets healthy, he can play at a higher level, which I think can definitely benefit the Commanders a lot. I like Sandstrom. He had a really good game against the Lions. I think he can develop into something really good. Bobby Wagner, old man Bobby Wagner, he'll make some tackles, but definitely an overrated linebacker. Somehow, some way, somehow. But, he's a leader there, and he'll make some plays. Definitely not the player he used to be.
He's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Absolutely. It's no disrespect. I'm just going to say it right now.
Yeah.
At this point.
Yeah, so Javon Kinlaw, they signed him. They paid him a decent amount of money. People said it's an overpay, but, if you can just clog up that middle, that's what you need out of the D tackle, right? So the Commanders overall, I think, based on that first pick, they can go many different directions, in my opinion. Obviously, they can address the defensive side of the football. If you really feel like you want to go after an edge rusher, I wouldn't be surprised at cornerback. I think there's going to be a premium amount of cornerbacks available at that point. Hairston, kid out of Kentucky. So, guys like that, I think they can really fit the Commanders really well. Or if you want to go the running back route, if you really feel like a guy like Travion Henderson or a guy like Omarion Hampton is, truly a special running back and separates themselves from the pack, they could also attack the running back position as well. Or don't be surprised if they just want to go all out and say, let's just give Jaden Daniels all the weapons he wants. Why not get another receiver? If you see a guy down there like Boulder Burton still available, like Buka still available, the Commanders are at times in a position maybe they just really love a player and just want to give Jaden Daniels another weapon. I wouldn't be surprised if they want to go ahead and do that, but I will definitely focus on the defense. The good thing about this draft, I think the Commanders are in a pretty good spot to grab a really very good player, in my opinion. I think there's going to be a lot of good talent. It's not a top-heavy class, but I think as an overall class, there's depth at some positions, 100%. Especially in the Commanders, depth in the secondary. I definitely think they can grab a really solid corner. Like I just mentioned, we've talked about plenty about the edge rushing class. There's going to be so many guys available at that point. So I think they're in a pretty good spot to pick at 29, and they got to make this team better, especially that defense, because, if you really want to get all that fame and talk to your head, we're NFC Championship, runners up, and, we're right there. We're 1 win away. All of a sudden, you're not 1 win away, and you might find yourself scripting and just trying to make the playoffs this year.
Here's the thing for the Commanders. These picks are so important. If there were a team ever that needed to hit on their draft picks, this is the team that needs to, 100%. Yep. When you make trades like Marshawn Lattimore and you go after Deebo Samuel and Laramie Tunsil, that is a lot of draft picks out the door and a lot of good capital. So you need to be able to hit on those draft picks. I would recommend for the Washington Commanders, I know what Jaden Daniels is already. He won with guys like De'Ami Brown at outside the receiver and, Brian Robinson Jr. at running back. What I would do if I'm the Commanders is I would go defense first. I would take an edge rusher at 29. I've thought about this. And I would take a running back in the later rounds. This year is one of the depthy running back classes we've ever seen. So I would go defense early on. If I'm the Washington Commanders, I would shore up that pass rush because what was the big weakness all year with the Washington Commanders? It was that defense, 100%. They could not stop. Yeah, the secondary. They could not stop a feather, especially in that Eagles game. I mean, Saquon Barkley ran for a touchdown the very first offensive play of the game. They need to find a way to win in the trenches against teams like Philadelphia, who are just built to dominate you in the trenches, and teams like Detroit, who are built to dominate you in the trenches. They just have to, call the right plays. Ben Johnson, who's not there anymore. So someone else is going to have to step up. Who is the new Lions offensive coordinator? Did they announced that?
Yes, they did. I will get you that.
All right, sweet. I'd love to hear that name. Okay. So, again, for the Commanders, what I would do is I would kind of not say ignore wide receiver, but we have Deebo Samuel. You have Terry McLaurin. I can live with that. I would say you need more help defensively. I think you need to be able to stop guys like Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown just in the vision, and then guys on the Cowboys. Like, if they go out and if the Cowboys, for example, go out and draft CeeDee Lamb and Matthew Golden, you're going to need secondary help to stop that. So I would go after secondary. I would be all about defense if I'm the Washington Commanders.
John Moore, an offensive coordinator for the Lions. Kelvin Shepard, defensive coordinator for the Lions this year.
I have no idea who those two are. But
all in-house hires, so we'll find out about them real quick.
Okay, we will see about those two. But, yeah, if I'm the Commanders, I definitely go all defense. I wouldn't take any receivers. Even Luther Burden, it could be a crazy value. I would pass. Omarion Hampton, I think he would fit like a glove there. But they have too many needs defensively for me to want a running back there. So.
How about we talk about maybe trading down? You gave up all this draft capital for guys like Lattimore, for guys like Laramie Tunsil.
Maybe they trade down on the Browns.
Yeah, something like that. If someone wants to come up and grab a guy like Dart or Milrow in the back end of the first round, or potentially someone wants one of those receivers. We see Luther Burden fall. Mekabuka, one of the teams wants to come up and grab one of those guys. Commanders can stack up a couple more middle round picks and still get the guy they want on defense, probably in the top end of the second round.
And you said they need needs on the line. I trust you for all of my offensive line stuff.
I'd say really right tackle. Other than that, it's looking pretty good, to be honest.
Okay, so right tackle is a pretty important position. So
but the guy they have there is like serviceable.
Yeah, as long as they have something good as blind
below
side.
average.
I could see a safety potentially. I think there's going to be two dynamic guys.
If Starks is there, yeah,
Starks or Rory. I think those are two. There's two very dynamic guys who might just be there, and I think they're just too good to pass up.
Their secondary got torched all year. So
I can see that.
I think they should go in the secondary. That's what I would say, and up front. I mean, how many times are they going to play Saquon Barkley? He's just going to run right through him.
Like a little spoiler.
It happens all 3 times.
Spoiler to our mock draft may be changing next time up.
Yeah, I think that was a miss in our mock draft. Like, I went home and thought about it. That was one of them. But I think I can make a clear case for Hampton, too.
Easily.
Because I think he's a very dynamic back, and that would be fun to watch.
I definitely think that could still happen.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. For sure. I'm just saying because it's a deep running back class, I would probably go defense first, especially with the edge rushers that were still on the board in our example, and Kenneth Grant. There's a lot of good pieces that could be on the board for the Commanders. But trade down's a good idea there, too. Like a team with the Bears, if the Bears want to move up and, take a wide – or I don't know if
even Hampton, if they don't get a chance to take Ashton Genty in the first round, maybe that could be a
realistic trade up. They trade those back into the two seconds. So we'll see about that. All right, that is the Washington Commanders. Gentlemen, we have 3 more. We have the Bills, Chiefs, and Eagles. And then we will have completed them before draft day. We actually timed this out perfectly.
Not too hard of a rebuild's coming up. There are definitely some powerhouses, but we'll talk about them for sure.
31 might be a little tricky, to be honest.
What are you going to do with tight end? No, I'm just kidding.
What are you going to do with offensive line?
Yeah, that's the question that Trevor's going to sleep on tonight.
Humphrey
Our mock draft says Josh Connerly Jr. over and over, so we'll see if that's where they go.
He can't play left tackle and left guard.
That's a trade down spot. But yeah, we'll see. All right, that's the Washington Commanders rebuild. NBA time.
Yeah?
Yes, sir.
Don't let the kids get hot now. It is NBA time. NBA playoff preview. Playoffs starting tomorrow with the play-in. I don't know if you want to count that, but I will. The NBA play-in starts tomorrow. Best time of the year for NBA basketball, and I'm thrilled about it. So why don't we start with the play-in? Give me your thoughts. Give me the matchups and maybe who you like and players to watch.
All right, so we can talk playing a little bit. Tomorrow night, we have the Hawks Magic. This is, for the 7th seed in the East, which is really just going to lose to the Celtics, so I feel like we can breeze over this one. Magic, they've been looking better as of late. I feel like they have more talent, so I feel like they're probably going to win.
Yeah, I think the Magic overall have gone high as of late. Can they maybe sneak a game or two against the Celtics? I can definitely see that. It's going to be a long road for either one of these teams to give the Celtics a true challenge. But I definitely do think the Magic are the better team and the most hot team and the healthy team out of both. So I do think the Magic at home will get it done.
That'll go 6 games at the Celtics if they get the Magic. If they get the Hawks, it's over in 4 to 5.
Maybe a nice little Trae Young game will win them one.
Maybe, but I think the Magic can be good. Yes. They just have to be efficient offensively.
So the next matchup tomorrow night is Grizzlies Warriors for the 7th seed in the West. This is probably the most important play-in matchup. Winner gets to play the young Rockets, who a lot of analysts and people around the basketball spaces online are looking at as a potential high seed that could get knocked off early. So what do you guys think about this game? I think I'm going to take the Warriors.
I'm going to take the Warriors as well. I think they've been really good since the acquisition of Jimmy Butler. I was pretty wrong about that. I think Jimmy Butler's made a good impact for them as well. So I think especially Jimmy Butler. We know he loves to show up this time of year. He's played in the play-in, I believe, also previously. I know he got hurt against the Sixers with the Heat, but now he's a Warrior. He gets to play the big John Moran. They got a new head coach over there. So I think just the Warriors, there's just more continuity with them, with Steve Kerr up there. I think they get the win. And I think this is a huge game, like you just mentioned, Trevor. I mean, there's a huge difference between playing the Rockets and then playing the Thunder.
Yeah,
so
100%.
this is going to be huge. And I think Curry and the boys will get it done.
This game's in Golden State, if I'm not mistaken. So I just off that would say Golden State. I think that's a big home court advantage, especially with guys like Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler. I think people are sleeping on Jimmy Butler. I think he still has a little bit of gas left in the tank, and he can get hot. So I've seen it firsthand. So Jimmy Butler can get hot. I think the Grizzlies are toast. I mean, John Morant. I mean, come on,
coach.
Come on. Yeah, they are a disaster. And I love Jaren Jackson Jr. He's really good. He's really impressed me this year. He's taken a big step. So
he's been awesome.
Yeah, I would say for Memphis, it's just not their year in my opinion. But I am impressed with Jaren Jackson Jr. Golden State should win that game. At home, no excuse for Steph Curry if he loses that game, and Steve Kerr and that whole team. No excuse.
I agree. I feel like we can just breeze through these 9-10 playing matchups. Kings Mavs, I think Kings probably win because of home court. Heat Bulls, I think Bulls probably win because they have better players.
Hey, don't sleep on Anthony Davis, man. Big time matchup out there
I
in
could see
Sacramento.
it.
But either way, I do believe the winner of that game is going to lose to the loser of the Warriors-Grizzlies game. And then obviously, on the other hand, the Bulls, I think they can maybe give the Hawks trouble. If the Hawks lose, who cares at the end of the day?
That's what I'm saying.
I'm going to be real with you guys. Shout out Josh Giddey. I think he's been really good for the Bulls ever since they made all those trades. So maybe that'll be a little bit fun. But yeah, who cares who wins these matches? I'm going to be real with you guys. But I'm going to analyze it because, we're sports analysts, right? So I'm going to go ahead and take the Bulls, though, because I like Josh Giddey a lot.
Yeah.
I think the Bulls should win, but knowing what the Bulls are, like the Heat, this is a game that the Heat could easily pull out.
Yeah, easy.
Like this is like the easy Eric
just because they have Eric Spoelstra.
The scheme game, like they could easily win this game. Like who won the Bulls screaming? Nikola Vucevic, like they could shut him out.
Hey, Modest Buzelis.
Kobe White, man.
Kobe White.
They got some boys.
Yeah, Kobe White's averaging 20, man.
Listen, they could shut out Josh Giddey if they really try. I could definitely see the Heat winning that game, but I'll go with the Bulls. I'll go with the consensus, and then the other game is Mavericks Kings.
Yeah.
Oh God, I would probably go Dallas. I think Anthony Davis is going to find a way to win one game. Like,
I agree.
If they don't win that game, like what happens to Nico Harrison? Like, does he get banned?
I don't think he can step out of his house.
Does he get banned like from the arena?
According to the bookies, he's the highest odds guy of executives to get fired. So if you want to bet on him, there's very good odds that he's going to get fired.
I don't know if they would do that. I
don't think they'll do that.
We could save that because that would be unbelievable.
Oh boy.
Hey, maybe he's playing chess and checkers. He's going to sign Luka Doncic.
Yeah, right?
That'd be insane.
Man, I'm sick of him for sure. I gotta say, we can get right into these first round matchups. So, do you guys want to? So we can start out east. Feels like these matchups are a little more lackluster. Stop. We got Cavaliers versus whoever. Cavaliers are winning 4-5 in my opinion. They have the way better coach this time. That'll probably be the difference between this team and Pat's Cavs teams.
I mean, playing the Hawks, Bulls, or the Heat, they're gonna cruise to that first round matchup. Give me the Cavs all day.
So Cavaliers against like Heat or Bulls? Is that what I'm looking at?
Bulls,
technically all four of them could play.
Okay. I would probably take the Cavs in 5 or 6.
I will say though, the Magic gave them a lot of trouble last year. So maybe if they get the Magic,
if they get the Magic, you could get a good series then.
Yeah,
it all depends on seeding.
I think if they get the Magic, it could stretch to 6, but I still don't think the Magic's
Cavs are a lot better this year.
Yeah. Pacers Bucks, the 4-5 matchup. I'm gonna take the Pacers. I think they're deeper. I think they have a better coach. I think they have an answer for Giannis. I think that's the biggest question mark when you're facing the Bucks, especially with no Lillard. I like Siakam and Turner to be able to potentially not stop Giannis, but slow him down at least and just say, hey, anyone else, beat us. Brook Lopez, Kevin Porter Jr., go beat us because we're not going to let Giannis do it. So I think the Pacers are going to win this one with home court as well.
Well, it's Doc Rivers' favorite time of the year. It's playoff time for him. So we all know what happens this point of the year for them, especially without Damian Lillard. At the moment, I'm probably going to say Pacers win it in 5 because without Dame, I think it's going to be really tough to keep up with that Pacers team. I think can attack you in different ways.
Big series for Giannis. It's a really big series for Giannis. He needs to play well for them to have any sort of shot. I like Kyle Kuzma. I mean, like a little bit. I'm not like gonna sit here and act like he's the second coming to Michael Jordan. I like the Bucks, but I think the Pacers have these young guys who can shoot. Like I experienced it last year firsthand. Nemhard.
Smith.
TJ McConnell always pisses me off.
He's good.
He's a good little player.
Stingy.
Yeah, and he's just like a roach out there, man.
He's like me for boss basketball.
Yeah, he is, man.
Yeah, so I think the Pacers should win that series in 6. I'll give Giannis 2.
Yeah, I generally agree with that. Knicks Pistons is the next series. I got the Knicks here. They just have more talent. Listen to that starting five: Brunson, Bridges, Anunoby, and then I feel like I'm missing someone, but Cat at the five, rounding it out. That team is just absolutely awesome. They're way more talented than the Pistons. Cool story. Cool that they didn't fall into the plan. Kate Cunningham's a great player. I don't really think they have a shot against this experienced Knicks team and experienced Knicks coach and Tom Thibodeau.
Well, the Knicks are good against everybody in the NBA, it seems, outside of the Celtics, Thunder, or Cavs. So I think they're going to beat the Pistons here in 5. I do think Kate Cunningham may sneak a game in there at home in game 3 or 4. So give me the Knicks in 5.
I'll go Knicks in 6. I think Cunningham could win one at MSG.
Yeah, I could see it for sure. We got Celtics versus winner of Magic Hawks. I got Celtics in 5 here, to be honest.
I'll go Celtics probably in 5 as well against either one of them. Once again, I just think they lack firepower to beat the reigning champs.
So if it's the Magic, I would probably go 5-6. And who's my other option?
Hawks.
The Hawks.
Sweep. Yeah, sweeps. Those would be sweeps.
Or the Heat.
Yeah, no shot.
Oh, sorry. Josh Hart is a starter. I was forgetting.
Yes.
Yeah, if it's and the Magic are a good team. I think they match up better than any of those other teams. So,
yeah, they're hot, so we'll see.
So I would say 5-6 for the Magic. Anyone else, I think it would be a clean sweep. Honestly.
All right, let's get into the best conference, the Western Conference. So we got Thunder versus the Grizzlies.
Oh, okay, all right.
I mean, we won't say best. We'll say most competitive, most not top heavy. Thunder versus the winner of the 8th seed. It's the Thunder in probably 4. This team is absolutely great. You look at metrics; they're historically great in a lot of metrics. They've have a players having a historically great season. He's going to win the MVP. It's clear at this point. He's a great defender, great offensive engine. I don't really care if they have the number 2 or not. This team is so good all around.
If you get Thunder Warriors, I'll definitely be watching that series. That would be a lot of fun with Steph Curry out there, with Jimmy Butler out there. A lot of guys that are used to making deep playoff runs. The Thunder, let's be real, they are the best team in the league. There's no sugarcoating that, but they have yet to make a deep playoff run, so experience could come into factor with that. If they get the Warriors, I'm going to have to say Thunder in 6. If they get the Grizzlies, I'm probably going to say Thunder in 4.
So my options are the Grizzlies.
But we picked the Grizzlies.
Any 4
to
teams
be here, essentially.
Okay.
Yeah, it could be any 4.
If they get the Grizzlies, I forget it. That's sweet. Yeah.
All right, Nuggets Clippers. This is probably one of the best first round matchups. Nuggets have a lot of question marks surrounding them after Mike Malone and Calvin Booth got fired just like a week ago. I don't really know what to expect here, but when you got the best player in the world on one side and not on the other side, I'm going to take the team that has the best player in the world. I'll take the Nuggets in 6. I think the Clippers still have, as old as they may be, they still have those playoff risers and, old goats of our generation. So I think they'll win a couple games.
Kawhi and James Harden, man. That was the childhood.
Well, you know what? Kawhi Leonard played 47 minutes the other night to lead them to a win in Golden State to put the Warriors in the playing game. I'm going to say a little bit of a surprise here in the first round. Sorry, Trevor. Clippers in 7.
Look, this is Kawhi Leonard has so much pressure on him. And if he's healthy, there are no excuses anymore with Kawhi Leonard. This is probably the most pressure he's had in his career, in my opinion, outside of the finals appearances. This is a huge moment for him. If he can beat Jokic and have a great postseason, that would be huge for his career. I just don't see who's stopping Jokic. So this is my whole point. Something named Zubac is going to stop Jokic.
I mean, listen, I love Zubac. He's a great player, good defender, big guy. Not even the 4-time defensive player of the year can guard Jokic one-on-one.
Please, Jokic will eat him up for breakfast.
Especially when Embiid is hurt, for sure.
Dude,
all right.
No Sixers talk for the rest of the year. You're banned.
They're not in the playoffs.
You're banned, buddy. You're banned. So I'll take Jokic in 6.
Jokic in 6. Accurate take. Lakers Timberwolves. This is another series I think should be fun. Timberwolves have had some woes this season, but end up avoiding the play-in very narrowly. They obviously have Anthony Edwards, which I think should make the series interesting. But overall, I like the Lakers. I know they don't really have the size to match up against the Timberwolves. I mean, you think about Naz Reid, Rudy Gobert. They got a lot of big guys that can probably play the small Lakers off the court, but I just trust the Lakers. They have the stars, man. They have LeBron. They have Luka Doncic. That should be all I really have to say. I'm going to take the Lakers in 5 or 6 here.
Well, the Wolves honestly played pretty well when Julius Randle apparently is on the court, but Julius Randle is not a playoff player. We've seen him with the Knicks. He just comes up short, shoots inconsistently.
And one of the worst clutch teams in the league.
Yeah, and even Anna still have my questions about him truly stepping up and putting a team on his back. So I am going to go ahead and take LeBron and Luka. Luka, we saw what he did to the Minnesota Timberwolves last year. I mean, he had Rudy Gobert on skates with the game on the line, hitting a 3 in his face. It was just spectacular. I think Luka's just going to have another phenomenal series. I think the Lakers in 6.
I hate to steal the old Shannon Sharp line here, but Lakers in 5. Lakers in 5. They should have kept Karl Anthony Towns. I said that was a mistake at the time, and I stand by it. That was a total mistake. If they had Karl Anthony Towns, I honestly think that they would match up well with the Lakers.
They wouldn't be the 6th seed.
Yeah, this is exactly my point. They would match up well with the Lakers, and they could potentially beat them.
Yeah, they could.
Because they're undersized, the Lakers are, if I'm not mistaken. So I would say if they had Towns, I would maybe take the Timberwolves, but there's no Karl Anthony Towns. It's Rudy Gobert, who is one of the softest players of my generation. Luka Doncic eats him up for breakfast. Last year hitting that step back 3, that exposed Rudy Gobert right there. So I don't know. I don't understand how he wins DPOYs. I don't get it. When I just see guys hitting step backs, like point guards hitting step back 3s on this big.
That's just how it works.
Behemoth, Rudy Gobert.
He's not able to guard 1.
And he really started.
He's one of the best rim protectors ever.
And he really started COVID too. So I don't really like the guy. So I'll go Lakers in 5.
Yeah, I can't really disagree with
Hey, touching on the microphone. What a tool bag. So
we got Rockets versus Warriors here. I think this is a very, very interesting series. The Rockets have a good coach. They have the players. It's just the big question with them is experience, and they're facing probably the most experienced team in the West. You got Stephen Curry and Jimmy Butler. How many finals appearances between the two of them? So I think this will be an interesting series. I'm taking the Rockets in 7. I do think this will go to 7, but I think the Rockets will end up squeezing it out just because they have the better bigs, and it comes down to that for me at the end of the day.
Udoka has been to a final, so at least you get an experienced coach who's been in those pressure point situations.
Yeah, the players.
They can definitely lead them. Fred VanVleet also, he's been part of a championship-winning team out there in Toronto, so they do have some low-key experience there. It's just that the superstars like Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler, who both have been in finals, and we know Steph Curry's won numerous finals. Draymond Green should not be Defensive Player of the Year. Please do not give that man the award. I am sick of him. He went on ESPN, and now he's a favorite. Ridiculous. Either way, I'm thinking Warriors in 6 here. I really like Curry. I like Jimmy Butler. I think they're both going to show up in this series. Draymond's just going to be a little rowdy, big mouth. He'll probably get suspended 1 game of that series just for something he does. But I'm going to go Warriors in 6 to kick out the inexperienced Rockets.
I could definitely see the Rockets winning this series. For now, I want to see it first. I would say Warriors in 6, and then Curry would steal one in Houston. And that's where they'll get him. And I think they'll win at home. I think it's a big home court advantage for them.
All right, we'll get to the East second round. Cavaliers versus Pacers. I like this Pacers team. I just don't think they have as good of a rotation as the Cavs, as good of a coach, as good of superstars, as good of depth. The Cavs are just overall better, so I'll take the Cavs in 6 because I do think the Pacers can make tough shots down the stretch and give teams good series like they did last year.
Yeah, I'll give the Pacers 1 game. I think the Cavs are going to win it in 5. They're going to get through their playoff demons that have been haunting them here in the last couple of seasons. I think Donovan Mitchell's going to show up. He always shows up in the playoffs, I feel like, most of the time, so he's going to have a nice little series there. Pacers, they're probably a solid team, so they'll sneak a game out of there, probably at home, maybe in Cleveland, who knows. But I do think the Cavs are a different animal this year, so I'm going to take the Cavs in 5.
I'll go Cavs in 5. I would probably do that. I think the Cavs actually match up very well with the Pacers. They're again, it's kind of very similar teams. They shoot well. They're very quick.
Except the Cavs just do it better.
And they have a guy named Evan Mobley too, so that'll really help them out in a series like this. Yeah. So I would go Cavs in 5.
All right, so we got Celtics versus Knicks next. I think this is the series of the second round. Probably will be the best. I just don't think the Knicks have the coach. I trust Joe Mazzulla, as insane as that is to say. I just don't trust Tom Thibodeau down the stretch. He always ends up playing his players too much. He always ends up getting them banged up down the stretch. So I think this late into the playoffs, the Knicks will probably somehow be banged up just because Thibodeau plays his guys irresponsibly. And I think the Celtics will squeeze it out in 6.
Yeah, I don't trust neither coach, honestly. Joe Mazzulla, I mean, it was a very good championship team he had last year with a questionable path towards getting that championship. And then you obviously have the Knicks on the other side, Yeah, once again, I don't trust Tom Thibodeau too much, especially overplaying players. OG Anunoby, big injury he had last year, basically cost them a spot in the Eastern Conference Finals. I do believe more in the Celtics. Once again, the Knicks are, 0-10 this season against the Celtics, Cavs, and Thunder, the 3 best teams in the whole NBA. So that's very concerning to me. I'm probably going to go Celtics in 5 here.
I want to go Celtics in 4. I just see the Knicks pulling one out of MSG. And the Celtics just letting them have one. And again, I'm not predicting injuries. I'm not saying – I'm assuming that all starting 5 are there for the Celtics and Pritchard, the Pitbull Pritchard. So I'll go Celtics in 5. If they're all healthy, I could definitely see the Celtics sweeping them.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into the Western Conference. I have Thunder versus Nuggets. I'll take the Thunder in 5 here. They have the defenders to defend Nikola Jokic. They got Hartenstein and Chet to throw at him. That's probably the best defensive big duo in the league. Maybe like that I have seen in my lifetime. It's seriously up there. So if anyone was going to stop Jokic, it would be those two. So I think the Thunder win that in like 5.
I have Thunder Clippers, so I guess I'll take the Thunder here in 5 games. I think the Thunder are finally going to piece it all together and make their first Western Conference Finals appearance in some time.
Thunder in 6. Let's go Thunder in 6. I think Jokic is going to get them at one game in Oklahoma City.
All right, so I got Rockets versus the Lakers. I'm going to take the Lakers in 5 here. Like you said, stealing Shannon Sharp's line. I just think the Rockets are too inexperienced. I think Redick is a really high-level coach. I'm not ready to say he's better than Udoka because obviously Udoka has a resume, but I seriously do think he can compete. I think they have the better star power. They have the better superstars, so I think the Lakers will win this one.
I got Lakers against who? Lakers
Warriors.
Warriors, man. That's what it is.
Man, Braun versus Curry, man. One last time.
I mean, how can you not be thrilled about
Cinema.
that? How can you think that's not going to possibly happen sometime in these playoffs, right? Curry, Jimmy Butler, LeBron James, Luka Doncic, Draymond Green somewhere in there as well. I mean, can it get any better than that? I'm going to take the Lakers in 6 games. I think Luka is just that clutch. And I think LeBron also, you never know how many more of these playoff appearances he has left or these, potential finals type runs he has left in him. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Lakers here to win and beat the Warriors in 6 games.
I have Lakers Warriors. I'll go Lakers in 7. I think that Jimmy Butler's run's going to run off. I think he's just a little too old to have one of these like fantasy runs and like go to the finals. Yeah. I think the whole key to the Warriors is Butler and Curry. Can they coexist? And I think that LeBron and Luka will do just enough here to win it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. So we can get to the Eastern Conference Finals, Cavaliers versus Celtics for, I believe, all of us. I think this will be a great series. Definitely the best series in the East. I'm struggling a bit with who to pick here. I'm going to take the Celtics. Just trust the talent, trust the experience. They have a guy, as much as I hate on Jason Tatum on this show, he has been first team All-NBA for 5 or 6 consecutive years now. The guy is clutch down the stretch, and
music to my ears, buddy.
Jaylen Brown is probably one of the best Robins probably the best Robin in the league right now. I'll say that. So I think the Celtics have the players, and especially if they're fully healthy, Celtics in 6.
Will Porzingis be healthy at this point? That is my question mark for them because they definitely have to match up with those big guys they have there. But obviously, like AJ mentioned, I'm not going to really predict injuries here. I'm going to, just say that both teams are fully healthy. This is going to be a heck of a matchup. The Cavs, once again, can they do it? Is this whole regular season streak a bluff, right? So I'm going to go ahead and take the Celtics. I just feel more confident in them. I feel more secure about them. It pains me to say for them to go back in the finals, but I do believe that Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, all those guys who were there last year will get it done. Cavs are going to come up just short. I'm going to go ahead and say Celtics in 6 games right there. They close it out at the Garden at home.
So I'm in a rock and a hard place here. Is it Celtics in 5 or is it Celtics in 6? That's the real question I'm asking. Do I see Donovan Mitchell going into the Garden and pulling one out? Yes, I do. So I'll go Celtics in 6.
All
I hate
right.
to sound like we all have the same picks, but
yeah,
I think it's pretty easy.
We can get to the Western Conference Finals, Thunder versus Lakers. The Lakers are a fun team with LeBron and Luka. That's like a historic duo that we'll look back on and be like, wow. You guys remember when Luka and LeBron played together? It'll just be one of those moments, still one of the craziest trades to ever happen, but I really think the Thunder have the size specifically to beat the Lakers. When your starting centers Jackson Hayes going up against Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren all game, good luck rebounding. Good luck doing anything in the post. The Thunder win this one in 5.
Well, the NBA is really struggling as a product right now, but the storyline that could be built up if Luka Doncic wins an NBA championship with the Lakers after the Mavericks traded him. I mean, that would just light the whole world on fire. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to happen. I think the Thunder are just too good of a team. The Lakers lack of depth. I think it's really going to catch up to them at this point. I think the Thunder are just going to match up really well against them, and I just think they're just going to be a machine, right? They're just going to roll right through the finals. I'm going to say Thunder in 5 games.
I'll go Thunder in a sweep. I really think the Thunder are that good. I think they're going to show their championship medal, so to speak, and I think they're going to find a way to get it done. I think they're going to run into the problems in the finals, but I think the Thunder are going to get the job done here. I'll explain why. I think the Thunder are very, very well suited to beat the Lakers. Jackson Hayes versus Chet Holmgren. Enough said.
I mean, yeah, that's fair. I guess we'll get to the finals matchup for all of us here. Thunder versus Celtics. In the wake of the new CBA era where a team has not gone back-to-back yet, ever since the new luxury tax and all that was implemented, I know if there was a team to break that, it would probably be the Celtics just because they're so deep in the luxury tax paying all their guys. But I think the Thunder are going to win it. MVP Shea, he's going to win the finals. He's going to win finals MVP. And I think he'll truly cement himself as one of the league's superstars.
Hey, maybe I should have picked the Cavs, honestly, because I got the Cavs maroon on. You get the Thunder blue on. But obviously, my pick here is the Celtics against the Thunder. I'm going to ride with the MVP, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. I just think this is the year. You talk about parodying the NBA. We haven't seen a back-to-back champion in quite some time. What, maybe since the Warriors days?
Yeah.
So it's been quite some time. The Celtics are a good team, but I still think they may be a couple pieces away towards potentially making a back-to-back and truly maybe starting a little bit of a dynasty out there in the Eastern Conference. I think the Thunder finally get it done. They learned from last year. They matured a little bit. So I do think the Thunder will get it done. It will be home court advantage to OKC. I'm going to go ahead and finally, we got a classic NBA Finals that we've been waiting for so long. Thunder in 7 games.
This is a pretty easy pick for me. I'll explain why. I'm going to go Celtics in 6, and here's my logic, okay? Every great team in really in NBA history, I mean, there's a few anomalies, okay? Every great team has a great playoff run, and they just come up a bit short. I think this is the Thunder's moment. They have to learn how to lose in a big-time scenario. Let's face it, last year, a lot of people thought the Thunder were going far. Did they? No, they did not. I think this is the year when the Thunder take that next step. They go to the finals, but they realize they're playing the Celtics. They're playing Batman, Jason Tatum. They're playing Robin, Jaylen Brown. They're playing Tingus Pingus, Kristaps Porzingis, and playoff Pingus is going to get hot. Okay,
Tingus, Pingus, Porzingis, Thunder in 5.
The Peyton, the Pitbull Pritchard. That's the X factor, gentlemen. That's the X factor.
Man, I don't care.
I love Al Horford.
I don't.
What? I can't.
Caruso.
I would like to state my picks.
Caruso.
Okay. Why are we talking about Caruso?
We got Caruso for Peyton Pritchard.
Yeah, it's just going to be a hell of a battle right there.
Pritchard's better.
Man, that's a battle of true great right there. I mean, first guy in last.
Look, I think it'll be a great series. I think the Thunder, their time will come.
It's respectable.
I respect the pick.
I just think we have to see it first.
I picked the Nuggets last year, so I can't really.
And I'm giving the Thunder a lot of credit. Okay, did I have my shortcomings with the Thunder at the beginning of the season? Yes, I did. But I'm willing to admit they're a really good team, and they're
awesome.
And I think they're built to make it very far. And I think Sam Presti is one of the best general managers of all time. Going to a market like Oklahoma City and winning multiple times with multiple different cores, I think it's very impressive. So I will go Celtics in 6. Injuries can definitely change my perception on everything, and especially a team like the Thunder as well.
Finally split on a pick there, so
your finals MVP is Shea for both of you?
I have Shea. Thunder. I'll say Thunder in 6.
Jaylen Brown for you?
No, it's not going to be Jaylen Brown. We could trade him. I'm good.
What about your Pitbull?
Jason Tatum. Batman's going to win the finals MVP.
Yep.
The Shamrock.
We did it!
He'll come up with original stuff this year. I'm sure he learned from last year.
I'm sure he will.
And then my big thing is, let's just say, this is my closing take today. Let's just say the Celtics don't win the championship. I know everyone around here would be heartbroken, and I would be too. I would be crying. Let's just say they don't win the championship. Drew Holiday maybe has a little shortcomings. Kristaps Porzingis, maybe doesn't play up to that par. There's a certain someone here in the desert who's going to get traded, who has worn a Boston Bruins hat multiple times, who's thought about coming to the Celtics now multiple times, I was listening to a quote today talking about Jason Tatum like he was Kobe Bryant, saying Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, those are some of the toughest guys I'd have to guard, and Jason Tatum's earning his right to be in that class. Do the Celtics go out and get Kevin Durant? Do they? I think Kevin Durant wants to go to the Celtics. I don't know if the Celtics want him, but I think this NBA playoffs could change perception. And AJ, are you in for Kevin Durant? The answer is 1,000% yes. I am in on Kevin Durant if we don't win the championship. If we win the championship, no need to change anything. But if they don't, Kevin Durant, Jason Tatum, it's got me feeling nicey.
And my closing take is trade Jamal Murray, please, this offseason if we are a second round exit.
My closing take is Sixers, please win the lottery.
All right, we actually talked about the NBA.
It's crazy.
I got goosebumps on me, man. I got to calm down here. All right, Wednesday we'll be back on bottom of the 6th. I honestly have no idea what we're going to talk about.
Rebuild.
Yeah, we got to do our rebuild.
Champions League may be in there too.
Yeah.
Real Madrid's done. Who really cares about the Champions League, right?
We'll figure that out.
And then Friday we'll be back on Spotify.
Maybe some NFL draft hype, maybe.
Ooh, now we got the good stuff, man.
Yeah.
We are a week away.
Yeah,
we are a week away. I think we're gonna have a lot of fun.
Sure.
So, all right, boys, let's wrap this thing up. I'm tired. I got to go to bed. So we'll see.
From Trevor Cox,
Sebastian Fryer.
I'm AJ Gotzall saying so long from the desert.